Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today back in England with the weather doing what it likes to do here. Not the best, but today we're checking out the BMW M5 CS. Now this is the most powerful production BMW ever, 635 horsepower, also their current most expensive BMW model in the lineup as well. Lots of incredible details. We've got the car here in the launch colour, the frozen deep green, finished with the gold bronze accents. Today I'm going to show you all around the car, take a look through all of the details, all of the upgrades and things that are specific about the M5 CS model. We'll have a look as well at the interior, where we've got these lovely new seats and a lot of new touches and details as well to explore, and of course take it out as well for a drive on the roads, hopefully away from the pouring downfall, to get an experience for what it is like. So let's take a full look then at the new BMW M5 CS. It is funny how at the moment over that direction the sky is blue, over that way it's yeah, very, very miserable. Anyway, let's take a look at this. The M5 CS quite significantly changed from the M5 and the M5 competition. Now I used to have an M5 in the garage. It was a long-term loan car from BMW M. The competition model came after. Now we have the CS, which is very much the ultimate driver-focused version of the 5 Series of this generation, based on the LCI, the Life Cycle Impulse, the updated refreshed car, so the new headlights. Also, if we come around towards the back, the new tail lights, and also the new infotainment and technology that the car has inside. The taillights were changed to have these 3D shapes and some sculpture to them, but the CS is loaded with carbon fibre. In fact, it's 70 kilos lighter than the M5 competition, a lot of which comes from the seats on the inside, the 20-inch forged wheels that it wears as well, and a host of things that have been removed. Some of the comfort features we'll talk about when we're inside, like the 4-zone climate control, the armrest, a lot of sound deadening, and more that we can go through. But around the back, for example, we've got the signature M-style tailpipes, the exhaust system, the sports exhaust, we've got the carbon fibre of the diffuser, we've got a carbon lip spoiler on the boot lid. As I said, we've got the 20-inch wheels finished in the gold bronze colour, kind of how we saw as well on the M2 CS. They're housing the red calipers inside. We've got carbon ceramics as an option, I think, for the car as well. We've also got it sitting a touch lower. There have been significant updates to the software under the skin, to the suspension, to the wheel bearings, to the gearbox systems, to the differential systems, to all sorts of different things. We've got a full carbon fibre bonnet housing the 4.4 litre twin power turbo V8. In fact, let's come round and just get that opened up so we can take a quick look at it. Carbon fibre mirror caps inside here, give this a double pull. And let's come around and take a quick look underneath here. You can see the openings that it's got, which give it some sporty presence, as does that bulge in the centre. And then on the underside, to show you this, the M5 CS logo. I really like that against the exposed carbon that you have here. And of course, our 635 horsepower power plant. We've got the xDrive system, the switchable 4-wheel drive, which you can switch fully to rear-wheel drive should you prefer. But this is officially quoted at 3 seconds, 0 to 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour. But I'd be willing to bet it goes a little bit faster. We've got the 8-speed M Steptronic automatic gearbox, and this finished with the carbon fibre plaque over the top, looking very, very nice as well. It is funny how we've got the sun coming out now. Let's close this down, give it a good proper close, and I want to talk about the headlights, the homologated headlights. Let me just close the door to lock it for a moment, because this car has homologated yellow headlights, like we first saw on the M8 competition, first edition, 1 of 8, the car that I actually filmed right there a short while back. This car though, to show you, if I lock it taking the key, we've got the normal BMW key, you can also have the display key. When you lock and unlock the car, effectively you get to see the yellow lights in all their glory. Have a look at this as we unlock it, and the running lights should illuminate yellow. Very, very cool. Of course, the main headlight beams are white as normal at night. These look awesome in yellow as opposed to white. Just a very, very special, unique detail. Now, to come and show you the interior in a bit more detail then, to run through this, because there's a lot going on. Things, for example, like these fabulous carbon fibre buckets that were launched with the M3 and the M4. They've got this slightly unusual thing in the middle, which I found odd driving the manual M4, and I want to talk more about how that impacts this car as well. But in terms of seating position, these are fantastic. They save a lot of weight. As I said, there has been 14 kilos of weight saving purely from taking out sound deadening. So you get to hear a lot more of the exhaust back there. We've got things like the Alcantara steering wheel. We've got the red-backed carbon shift paddles, which also come from the M3 and M4. I love this detail up top. with the perforations where you can see the Mugello red of the 12 o'clock marking stripe. You've got the carbon dash trim with the CS logo, the illuminated M5 badges in the seats, and even the outline you can just about make out of the Nürburgring on the headrest as well, thanks to all of the development work that was done for this car at the Nürburgring itself. In the back, instead of a traditional bench, you've got two effectively fixed bucket seats, just like the ones up front. Very, very cool. No through load system, another comfort feature removed to save some weight, but these seats in the back look awesome. 4 up in this would be an incredible feeling, and especially back here with those lovely carbon fiber backed buckets. Those look awesome from back here. So let's take a step then inside the car, get this started before very shortly we can head on out. You do sit low with the seating position. It sounds good though, sounds the part with the V8. Fairly new car that we've got here, but let's go take it for a drive and explore what it's all about. It is incredible how quickly it is drying up. Honestly, just before I started recording, it was pouring with rain, and it now looks like we've got some mostly dry roads, which is rather pleasant to experience this. Now we're out in the countryside, and we do have some pretty bumpy lanes in front of us to explore what this car is like. The more dynamic, more focused version of the M5. Now I did a lot of miles in the original M5, mostly on the Autobahn, down the motorways, cruising long distances, and experiencing how capable it was of just soaking up those miles, driving long journeys with comfort, with technology, with all of the safety systems and everything, basically making it a really enjoyable long distance cruiser. Of course, this dials things up just a little bit. It's been heavily developed at the Nürburgring. I even saw some prototypes and early cars going around the Nordschleife during the industry days, doing their testing cycles and processes to get it ready. And we'll turn everything up in a moment, but initially driving, you can tell it's firmer. You can tell the ride is a little bit, I don't want to say it's over the top, but in the comfort mode as we have it now, it is certainly a more firm thing that does give you, as the driver, a little bit more feel of the car, but for passengers it might be a little bit rough. We will go up through the settings though, but just cruising around in it like this, it doesn't feel as big and awkward as you might think. We've got stop start, we also have rear wheel steering, so to turn out here almost on a sixpence, nice and easy, out we go. With a bit of grumble of the sound, of course, all of this sound deadening that's been removed means that you hear an awful lot of it, as well as the way it's calibrated. Everything seems to happen very, very quickly. Now, being the LCI, the update, means we have the button in the central console for the setup mode, where you can bring that up and you can configure a number of different things. And here we've got the engine, the chassis, the steering, and the xDrive, currently in regular 4-wheel drive as opposed to 4-wheel drive sport, or even going up into 2-wheel drive. But if I put everything up into sport, the engine, the chassis and the steering. The chassis stiffens up a little bit, but not a crazy amount. Sometimes you get things changing to a much greater extent. Steering feels a little bit heavier, you get a bit more weight out of it. I would probably want something in the middle, to be honest. Engine, sport, or even going up into Sport Plus would be right up my street. Obviously the auto gearbox currently chilling in the first of the 3 drive logic modes, in 8th, well now down to 7th. We can pop that into sport, effectively go manual, and we're in the 3rd stage of the drive logic as well. So the sportier, more aggressive setting of the gearbox, which just means it's slightly more engaging, to be honest. And now that the tarmac is nicely dry, foot down, traction intervening already, this thing is ludicrously fast. The amount of torque in gear that also comes with a very small amount of pressure on the throttle pedal. You don't have to have your foot buried to the floor to get a lot out of it. It doesn't seem crazy loud, to be honest. I thought it might be even a little bit louder, but it's great to be able to enjoy and hear some of that V8 sound, whether it's completely genuine or not, whatever it might be. If we pop it back into auto though, the gearbox does do its thing nicely. It knows, and it's very predictive, and I've had a lot of experience with the auto BMWs. Obviously this 8-speed M Steptronic, it's very predictive. It's not a dual clutch, it's not quite that level, but it's not exactly bad. Now, talking of floods, we do certainly have a bit of a flood right here, and I'm going to pull into the middle of the road slightly to not make a complete mess of this car. British weather, hey? Anyway, let me pop it back into manual. There seems to be a lot of torque in pretty much whatever gear you're in. It's not wanting for more. And obviously, it's doing a nice job of disguising some of its weight as well. 1,825 kilos is the weight of this, and you might be thinking that's a big number, but every car is getting so heavy these days. It's not all that much heavier than the M3 and M4, which lack a lot of the technology of this. They don't have the four-wheel drive system in the models at the moment. Even on that kind of sketchy tarmac, combined with slight lack of traction due to the rain, it just moves. It just absolutely moves. Yeah, I was going to say the M3, M4, 6-cylinder engines, much smaller, without some of the equipment and comfort that this offers as well. So it's not that mad in the new era scheme of things and what I suppose we're getting used to now. If we move a little bit quicker down here, we've still got the chassis in Sport. I'm going to pop it up into Sport Plus, actually, a bit of a test. Yeah, that's significantly firmer. It's still not a huge dial up compared to some modern cars and their dynamic range, because of course this is quite a focused machine. You're not going to buy an M5 CS if you don't want a sporty driving experience. You know, it's compromised a touch. It doesn't have the third seat in the middle of the back, it doesn't have the through load system, and obviously it carries quite a high price as well. In the UK it's £140,000, in Europe it's 180,000 euros. It's a big old thing. It's the most expensive model in BMW's current lineup, taking over from the M8 competition convertible, until we have the arrival in the not too distant future of something like an M8 CSL or M8 GTS or something like that that's been seen testing, which is certainly a very exciting proposition. As we head out of here though, I just want to pop my foot down again. I'm sure with traction in its current setting we're going to have a little bit of an issue, so let's pop it into M dynamic mode, MDM, four-wheel drive. Goodness, this is really quite fast. Like, nobody needs a car that goes this quickly, that can accelerate and get a move on. And I tell you what, there's not that much body roll, still in Sport Plus. Obviously not going through the tightest corners in the world, but holding on quite pleasantly as well, which is a nice thing to be able to enjoy out of it. I find with this gearbox though, shifting manually isn't really very beneficial, just to let the car do its thing. And you get some nice shift lights as well when you get up towards the red line. This absolutely gets a move on. Obviously this is in four-wheel drive sport. If you hold and turn off traction, that's when you can put it into the two-wheel drive mode. Second gear. This is ridiculous. This is a serious piece of kit. This is a very fast car. Like I say, it kind of shrinks a little bit around you. It doesn't feel like such a big lumpy thing that you might be expecting looking at it. It is a huge car, but you can tell that it's that more responsive feeling than the regular M5, and it's just cool. I mean, sitting in these bucket seats, knowing that there are the fixed buckets as well behind you for the rear passengers. The one thing I will say though about these seats, and I talked about this with the M3 and with the M4 when I was driving the manual M4 and the Nudschleifer, especially with the clutch pedal, where when your left foot's moving you feel like you're constantly effectively being stroked by this thing in the middle of you. In this, if you want to use your left foot on the brake, you've got to put your leg over the top of that carbon piece. Not so easy, not so comfortable at all, and it's been discussed for female passengers that might like to sit with their legs together. It's also a little bit uncomfortable. So these seats I'm a bit mixed on. The seating position is great, the feel is great, but there's a lot about them that isn't so great as well, which makes it slightly compromised. I suppose what this is a fairly limited cool car. It's limited production for 12 months from March 2021 until March 2022, as opposed to being a fixed build number, but in that time it will basically be available for anybody who wants to stump up the money to purchase one from new in a series of 3 limited colours exclusively for this car. There's no being able to do BMW individual and making it your own colour. They've set the colours that will contrast obviously quite nicely with the gold bronze accents that you have on the exterior. As a drive, I mean, as we're going a little bit more gently now, probably I should pop it all back into the default, normal, comfortable settings, back into drive on the gearbox and drive it like a normal daily car, because this is the double character of the M5, right? This is the fact that you can just drive it like a luxury saloon car. You don't have to be going back 10. It's very quiet, it's very calm, it's very peaceful, as you can hear. In comfort, it's actually significantly softer. Steering is lighter. You've got your adaptive cruise, your emergency brake assist, you've You've got a lovely sound system, you've got the full xDrive software, you've got gesture control where you can interact with it. You've got everything in here. You've got everything that you might want from a luxury car, along with 635 horsepower in a beast that has no difficulty putting it down, and putting it down with style and pizzazz and stop-start. Some things you lose: armrest, storage, in place just a fixed topper, which actually isn't the best. It's slightly sagging with the leather on the top of that. And you also lose the 4-zone climate control. I guess as the driver, that's not something you're worrying about all that much. But other than that, you're not really inconvenienced. It just feels like a more exciting BMW M5. And then when you get back out of town, you pop it back into M2, back into M dynamic mode, back into manual, and start dropping down some gears all the way through, let's go all the way down to second gear, and put your foot back down on the throttle. This is utterly ludicrous. The rate of acceleration, and you feel the weight being picked up that fast as well. I know from my own experience that this connection you get with four-wheel drive sport, especially when you drive in anger, even in the regular M5, makes for a seriously exciting and rewarding experience. So I can only imagine out on track what this would be like. What a cool thing! What a cool thing, to be honest. I love the look. I love the satin green with all of the gold. I love that V8 grumble. I really got to fall for everything that the M5 offers during that time I spent with it, driving about 13,000 kilometers or something, so a lot of time behind the wheel to get a feeling for what it was all about. And this is just all of the advantages and functions that offered, with the added bonus of happening to be even sportier and even more dynamic, and just going through some of these flowing corners in Sport Plus feels brilliant despite the conditions. And then when you get to a really tight corner like this one, having something like rear wheel steering, giving the car this tiny turning radius, is a delight as well. You get round for the puddles here. Surprised it kept traction there as we went quite light over that little crest. I'd love to throw this around the Nürburgring. This would be a cool car to do a ring lap with, or on the other hand, to commute to the office. On what's now turning out quickly to be a beautiful afternoon. What a day. It feels like my luck is about to run out. The bad weather is returning imminently, but let me show you a little bit more then around the interior of the M5 CS, including the updates as part of the LCI. So at the moment we've got the car in the normal driving mode. Now you have the M mode button just here. When you press that, it goes up into sport, which reduces some of the driver assistance systems and gives you this different dashboard display with the rev counters either side of your gear and speedometer selector in the middle, just to return it back to normal road. You can see that's the standard lookout with the speedometer at the left and the rev counter to the right, with some of the other information, including the map that's integrated into the center on a large display. I love the sport mode. Gives you your instant access here, as you can see, to the different driving settings, depending how you've got all of that set up. And if you then press and hold this, it will go straight into the track mode. As you can see, you can activate that, and it basically turns off all your music, turns off your screen, and focuses everything for the track, including the heads-up display, as you can see, with all of the data that offers. If we pop that back into the normal road mode, though, this is where we then have the setup screens with the different things that you can change. As I've shown you, you can either touch all of these, or you could do it with the xDrive controller alongside the new shifter that the car has as well. This is the button on the top to go between the different settings of the drive logic, between those three settings. You press it right to go into drive once more, or you press the button there to pop it into park. You've got the traction control button, one quick press to put it in M dynamic, one hold to turn off traction, and then be able to put it into the two-wheel drive setting. So just quickly demonstrate that, you can then configure xDrive, and as you can see, you can now select it into two-wheel drive, effectively disconnecting the power to the front axle, or if you turned it back on, one quick press will pop it into M dynamic mode. The exhaust button, your parking button, your electronic handbrake, xDrive controller, the shifter with the drive logic buttons up top. You can, when you're in drive, just turn the car off and it will automatically pop itself into park, or you can press the button. If you go into reverse, we've got the reversing camera in here. We've got the park assist, where the car will obviously be able to help you park in various different configurations of spaces. You've got the reversing assistant, which is incredible, where when you've driven, let's say, through a car park or around some difficult obstacles, all you've got to do is press the car into reverse. It will remember where you've driven and be able to automatically control the steering to drive you back along the same route, which is an incredible thing, to be completely honest. Amazing how it does that. The CS graphic here on the carbon fiber underneath the lacquer on the top, your air conditioning controls as well in the center with the touch panel screen, which is very nice, including the heated seats. You can have ventilated seats with the normal seats, and then you have obviously the different levels, and I like this varying level of automatic climate control I've spoken about a number of times in the past, and your red touches like the stop start button, like the M1 and M2 toggles on the steering wheel, where you've got your cruise control, media control buttons, and the darkened chrome as well for all of the finishing touches. You've got a little storage cubby here with your cup holders, USB port, wireless charging pad as well, and a 12-volt charging socket. Press that to close it. This is the armrest that, like I said, doesn't open. It feels like the leather over the top is a little bit loose, which is unusual, but you kind of want to use this as storage. I'm not sure why. Can't have been that much weight saving to take out the hinges. We must be talking mere grams. I don't know. Anyway, that has been removed for the CS. Just gonna turn this off for the moment to hop out before it gets torrential. The red Mugello stitching does look very nice against the black leather of the interior of this. Obviously nice glazing as well for the windows, because it is very quiet inside when you're driving it in a chilled out fashion, when you're not putting your foot fully down to the floor. And obviously it's a four-wheel drive car. It's very capable, it's very functional. I'll come around and show you the luggage space as well while we're here. Not ideal conditions. Do we have the power fold tailgate? We do. It just took a moment there to open itself up. Inside here, loads of room. You can't fold the seats down, so you do lose that practicality, but still, not many times, right? You need more luggage space than this. And there are a few cubbies back here as well for storing bits and pieces as well. It's not power fold, by the way. It's just on the hydraulics that it opened itself up. I guess some weight saved by removing that as well. And all of the badges continue this gold bronze theme all around. So honestly, it's a cool thing. It's a very expensive thing, but it's a very, very cool thing as well. The performance out of such a big, heavy car is slightly illogical. It's not necessarily necessary, but it is great fun to go out and enjoy. Now, before I get completely drenched, I'm gonna hop back in the car, because I can tell this is about to turn nasty. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed my first drive and experience with the new BMW M5 CS to share with you exactly what this car is like to take on out. That's it for now though. Thanks again, your support is appreciated, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.